What's up, folks? It's your girl, Misha Jones, and you're tuned into another episode of Cease and Assist, where I'm not talking law, I'm talking basketball, and women's basketball comes first. Now, on today's episode, I'm continuing again with Cease and Assist mission of giving representatives from the 14, 15, and 16 seed teams who were projected to make the tournament when everything ended a little bit of a chance to tell the world about their seasons. And today, I am joined by head coach Tomekia Reed of Jackson State University women's basketball team. Thank you, Coach, for joining me. How you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. As I said, we're making things work over here. But folks, if you haven't been following the Tigers this season, here's a little bit of a crash course. They finished the year 19-10. They sat at the top of the SWAC conference standing at the time of cancellation. They had 3 players averaging upwards of 13 points per game, and they were projected to make the tournament as a 16 seed. And we're going to play the South Carolina Gamecocks in the Greenville region in the first round. So, Coach, is there anything else about your team that I missed that I need to let you tell the world about?
Well, it was just, a very, very special team. And like you said, we accomplished a lot this year and, put forth a lot of work, a lot of effort. And, just to have that taken away from us abruptly, it was just kind of a bad feeling. And it was a feeling that everything we did in the beginning was kind of in vain. That's kind of like how everybody feel. So, we're right here trying to pick the pieces up and kind of move forward.
Yeah. So from your point of view, I mean, you did have a 19-10 season and it seemed like things were going well before everything stopped. So from your point of view, what made this season so special for your team?
We struggled in the beginning. When I recruited this team, I knew that we would have some success. And I thought our success would have been early success. And I can remember my staff telling me, boss, you going after heavy hitters. You're not going to be able to have enough basketballs to share with all of this talent. You're going to have to fight so many egos. And I heard it, but I just didn't want to be in the position I was in my first year, not having enough talent. And so sure enough, coming into the season, these young ladies had to battle so much, with the different talents, putting those skill sets together, trusting one another, and just learning how to work together, accepting their roles and putting all those things together. It was tough. And I mean, we took a lot of bruises, a lot of bumps, a lot of scrapes in the preseason. And people don't know, they see the good, but they don't know I had players wanting to quit. I had players not, couldn't get along. Every time I would come into the locker room, players were fighting, and as coaches, we always talk about the good, but we don't talk about what you had to go through to get to being SWAC champions, what you had to go through to be top in the league and top in the country in offensive rebounds, And so, I think they are extremely special because they had a wake-up moment. If we put all this together, we're unstoppable. And, that ended up coming on, that light bulb ended up turning on for us versus Illinois State. And it carried into the UL Lafayette game where we won that game at our place. And from there, we went 13-0 and had the best starting record in school history. And they just took off. And that's why I think they're so special because they're so resilient. It's been situations where we'll be down and they'll come back and win games. And they were just so resilient, a resilient group. And that's what makes them so special. And all the challenges they had to fight through and overcome and the egos that had to be set aside. That's what make my team really special.
And resiliency right now is obviously a trait that you got to have to get through what we're going through right now. But as a head coach, to put all, the different personalities and put all the different skill sets and ideas about who should get points where, to put all that together and be able to go on a 13-0 run. I mean, that's just a testament, I feel personally. I'm not trying to gas you, but it's a testament to the kind of coach and the kind of staff that you have. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But in all of that, what was your favorite moment from this season?
Man,
There's a lot of them, huh?
there's a lot of moments. I will talk about off the court. One of my favorite moments was to see um, my Mississippi State transfer. I got a 6'5" transfer from Mississippi State. She was top 10 in the country. And when she came, she was this big face for the university. Everybody wanted to interview her. Everybody wanted to talk to her. She had a child. She was really shy. She didn't really know how to speak, and she was shy to speak in front of people. She was just really in this shell. And to see her transformation into a young woman this season, it has been an amazing feeling. It went from people calling, knocking on my office doors, begging me to interview her. And then it went to, she doesn't interview well. We doesn't want to talk to her. And I was telling her, you have to come out because this can apprehend, this can stop where you're trying to go. Don't be afraid of it. And I'm telling you now, she gets in front of the camera, she's really comfortable, and you can just see the comfort all over her. And so for me, that is so gratifying because I worked with her. I worked with her personally to develop that part of her because I knew she's a standout, and she's, for the rest of her life, she's going to be in front of cameras. And so to see that I was really excited to see that. The other part, the basketball side, one of the best moments, it was a game. It was a game versus Texas Southern. And if you know Cynthia Cooper, you know Cynthia Cooper is extremely competitive. And here I am, the new kid on the block, young, probably the youngest one in the conference as a head coach. And Cynthia come in the house. At that time, we were like 7-0, and they were undefeated. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like, the crowd was crazy. Everybody was tuning in. I had all kinds of people calling me for radio interviews, podcast interviews. It was just a big build-up for that moment. And man, to see my girls come alive. I mean, they came alive, and we had some ups and some downs. It wasn't no easy win. And, we were down 6 points this is no lie, 6 points with 30 seconds to go in the game. And they came back and tied the game, and we went into overtime and ended up winning the game in overtime. But that right there, it was an amazing feeling. Cynthia got a text. Cynthia walked all the way down to my side of the court, standing right by me, going off on the official. It was electrifying. So that was one of the best moments this season that I will remember in terms of games. And then the next thing is winning the SWAC championship. I have to tell you a funny story. When we won a championship, we had T-shirts. This is my first one, so I'm not, I don't know what happens when you win a regular season championship. All I know is the tournament is a whole lot bigger, So we had T-shirts, we had a reception, we had banners, my athletic director and his staff just set it out. Went into the locker room, they poured water all over me. And I was like, y'all, man, this is for the tournament. Like, this too much. Bring this down some. And, we cut the nets down. And looking back on it, I'm so glad we celebrated like that because we didn't get a tournament.
Right.
So those three moments are, unforgettable moments for me.
Hey, you got me having chills over here, Coach. Oh my goodness, maybe want to get in the gym and play or something. That though, social distancing. Wow, that's pretty cool. And you know what? I happen to be one who thinks when you get a big moment like that, whether it's just a regular season game against an in-state rival or something like that, you gotta celebrate it because you only get each moment one time. And I think, like you said, that's definitely a testament to that statement.
Yeah.
Wow, man, dang. Anyway, so do you think with the way your team played during the latter half of the season that you would have had a chance to make the tournament without the conference auto bid and without, finishing top of the conference?
Well, you have to finish number one in our conference to get to the tournament. And you saying if we didn't have opportunity to play the tournament, could we have?
I mean, if you didn't necessarily win the SWAC, do you think that the selection committee would have given you enough respect to say, oh, they were a good team this season? You know, they did all the things they did. No?
No. And the reason why I say that is because we didn't have a good preseason. Had we won some of those games in the preseason, like beat Bradley, beat Illinois State, played a better game against Indiana University, I thought that those games are what determines those bids and getting that respect and getting to the tournament. I've never seen it happen for the SWAC schools in history. You have to win to get there. And I know 12 years ago when I was an assistant coach at Jackson State, the only thing we were afforded that year, because we beat UAB, we beat Arkansas Little Rock. They were a top team back then, 12 years ago. We beat Southern Miss. We won a lot of games in the preseason. So the only thing that we were afforded, we went in as a 15 seed and not a 16 seed. So that was, it was either 14 or 15. We didn't go in at the bottom. So, but you have to win the league to go to the tournament, unfortunately.
Yeah, I asked that because it was pretty much the same when I played. I was at William & Mary in the Colonial Athletic Association, and it was like, unless you get that top spot and unless you win that tournament, you're not going. I think this year it was going to be different, though. I think this year they were actually going to take the top 2 seeded teams. But I like to ask, coaches and players from mid-major teams, just because there is a little bit of a discrepancy. I mean, the Oregons, the South Carolinas, all those teams, they could have a bad preseason, and chances are, if they have a 13-0 run the latter half of the season, they're going. So I always just like to throw that question out there. But rerouting it back to talking about the team, can you walk me through kind of the moment when you found out that the tournament was canceled and how you went about telling your team?
Yeah, we were actually on the bus headed to Birmingham for the SWAC tournament. And we always traveled on the Jackson State bus, but this particular day we were on a Klein Tours charter bus. And this bus, had cable, and so we were watching the news. And I had it on ESPN News because at that day before, the NBA had just announced postponing their season. And so I was, looking at the news and just seeing how that was going to play out. And then the AAC came on at the game, and Florida State men were getting ready to play Clemson men. And their commissioner walked out to the floor and said, "We're not playing this game." And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen for us? And so here I am. Well, we're the SWAC. They're going to let us play. It's going to be all good. We're going to head up here to Birmingham and get this thing going. And so my assistant athletic director called, and she said, "Hey, get off in Tuscaloosa. You guys go eat your really good meal, feed the girls whatever they want to eat. And then I want y'all to prepare to head back this way." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, they have canceled the SWAC tournament." And she said, "But you're okay because you're the number 1 seed and you're going to play in the NCAA tournament." So we got off. I went into the restaurant. The girls were all sitting down. I came in last, and I was celebrating. "Yeah, SWAC champs. We going to the NCAA tournament. We can't play the SWAC tournament, but we going to the NCAA tournament. And because we're number 1, and that's a great job and taking care of business early." And so we're in this restaurant, Outback, going crazy. Everybody like looking at us, you know what I'm saying? So as I sat there, I got another text that said, "It looks like the NCAA tournament is about to be canceled too." And so I said, man, how do I come behind that huge celebration to tell them that this is canceled too? So we got on the bus, got back to the school, and I just had everybody come into the locker room, and I just kind of shared with them that as of right now, the NCAA has postponed their tournament as well. And I told them to stay in shape, keep working out when you go home. Because at that time, not only did the tournament's canceled, the students had to leave campus.
Okay.
And so it was just a wham, wham, bam, bam, back to back to back. And so I was just trying to hold them together. And at that point, they didn't understand it. But for me, I was in tears. I was choked up. I could barely talk to them because they just had this look on their faces like, but we worked so hard. You know, and my seniors were like, what are we going to do now? Because at that time, they had been invited to 2 pro combines, but those combines were canceled. And one was going to be at the Final Four. And so it was just a really tough moment for us and to get through that. And I'm the most experienced person on my staff. I have a very new staff, you know, first time coaching. It's all my entire staff. And so one reached out to me, and she's first time coaching Division I basketball. One reached out to me and she said, have you seen something like this before? What do we do? You know, and it just bothered me because I've never seen this. It's, you know, in years of coaching collegiate basketball, 16 years, I've never seen this. And I didn't have an answer. And that tore me up because they were looking for me, you know, to get them through. But at the time, I was looking for somebody to get through. So it was just a really tough spot and just trying to keep everybody encouraged and push them through.
So now that, you know, we're however many weeks past that moment and things have kind of settled in and our new reality is what it is, how are you personally dealing with this crisis and pandemic?
Well, I'm trying to make the best of it. And what I'm doing is I'm a go-getter. Work doesn't stop for me. It stopped completely for a week where I had to gather my thoughts and I had to put forth a plan. And the plan is everything was taken from you this year. How are you going to come back next year? So now you got to prove a bigger point because it was taken away. You didn't experience. So how are you going to get back there? And so that thought brought me out of the slump I was in, the depression that I was slipping into. And so I went into back into the grind mode, and I put everybody ahead of me and said, how can I make sure everybody is going to be better out of this? And so I put together a plan for my players academically. We have a very stringent plan in place to make sure they're doing their online courses, make sure they're doing their work, and make sure they're on top of that, and just explaining to them that you are a champion. And champions don't take breaks. Champions may fall, but you rise quickly and stronger. And so I'm putting that plan in place academically. I've been working a lot on recruiting to finish our recruiting because it's important for us to have a better year next year. It has to be better than this year. I mean, you talking about 13-0. It's going to be tough to top it. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to put the right pieces together. And when you formulate these plans, you got to make sure your staff is on board. And so that's one thing I've been really focusing on. And then just really working towards a new year. And as everything keeps getting pushed back and keep getting pushed back and keep getting pushed back, I have to stay on top of it because what's going to happen when it's not pushed back and it's time to go? Are we going to be ready to go? So that's my mind right now, and that's the process in which I'm trying to make sure we're ready for the next.
Coach, I mean, you got me wanting to get up here and do some jumping jacks and do something. Feel like I am a tiger out here. You know, you're a champion. You got to prove you're a champion. I can appreciate that mindset. Well, thank you for taking the time out to join me. Please stay safe and stay healthy over there. And
thank you.
I wish you the best. Thank you. I'm gonna do my best. I got my parents here, so they got me pretty much on lockdown. So I'll be all right. But
good, awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for what you're doing for women's basketball, and keep up the good work. And if I can ever be any more of assistance to you, let me know. Of course. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And y'all can follow Coach on Twitter at Coach T Reed. And you can follow me at MISHVJRNALIST. Until next time, stay tuned for more Cease and Assist. I'll be putting this on my YouTube channel as I have the previous ones, and I'll have more for you soon. So take care.